Tottenham have returned to the Champions League and have started with aplomb, topping the group in our first two games. We showed our lack of title fight experience against Liverpool though, as they hit 3 goals past us to halt our momentum in the league. And today, with big expectations from the board and big money to spend, I use your help to try and invigorate this squad. As ever, if you're enjoying this series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And as always, we are starting off with your comments. With Son soon to retire, you should sign Kang-in Lee, a Korean national. And for central defensive midfield, Giorgio Scalvini is a nice young prospect, or Coop Miners. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if Heung-min Son is quite at retirement age just yet, as he is only 32 and he's still our club captain. Plus, if his exploits from last episode are anything to go by, he still has a hell of a lot that he can offer the club. However, to replace him with a fellow Korean in Lee Kang-in on the left-hand side would be a very interesting option, as he's 23 years of age and he seems like he has all of the right attributes to be a good fit on that side of my midfield. However, with him playing for PSG at the moment, would he want to make the swap to London right now? Giorgio Scalvini is another brilliant option. With him being 20 years of age, he's got his best years ahead of him. But again, with him now being touted at centre-back, plus him playing for Real Madrid, would he really want to move to Spurs? Now, Coop Miners is the one that really catches my eye. With him being 26 years of age, he's clearly entering his prime. Plus the fact he's playing for Newcastle shows that he does have Premier League experience he can offer us. However, in real life, moving from Newcastle to Spurs right now is probably an option he wouldn't really want to take. However, in this career mode, with Newcastle languishing right above the relegation zone in 17th place, perhaps it might be a move that the Dutchman might consider. I think it would be best if you improved the left-back position, as Sessegnon is slow and does not recover quick. I didn't imagine you'd sell Udogie though, as he was potentially your best left-back. So yeah, I agree. Looking at my starting 11, it is clear and obvious that left-back is the weakest position in the squad. And with Ryan Sessegnon constantly in and out of the team in real life for Spurs, picking up injury after injury after injury, and with him now being 24 years of age, only 78 rated, and only having 8 months left on his contract, perhaps now is the time to look to move the Englishman on, so I will decide to add him to the transfer list. As for Udogie, after a brilliant season at Spurs last season, he was someone I definitely did not want to sell, but for whatever reason, he wanted to leave the club, and I guess when Barcelona come in for you, it is no surprise to see that his head got turned, and that is unfortunately why I had to sell the young man. I think you should keep Ayala, as a team like Liverpool have done the same in the past with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and maybe try to send some scouts out to find the next Harry Kane, whether that be in the youth or players just playing for younger, smaller clubs. And to replace Basuma, you could go for João Paulinho, Mourinho or Hatate, as they would be perfect, or maybe Edson Alvarez if he has surpassed his time at West Ham. So yeah, starting off with that left-back position again, obviously it is the weakest position in my team, but Sergio Ayala is someone who I really want to give an opportunity to this season. He's only 18 years of age, clearly he's an exciting prospect, and he's already got himself up to a 70 rating, and his performances in all of the competitions overall so far have actually been pretty decent, considering this is his first season properly playing in the senior squad. Now, there can be no doubt that losing Harry Kane to Bayern Munich was a bitter pill to swallow for most of the Spurs fans, and the Englishman is pretty much nigh on irreplaceable. However, looking a little bit closer to home at the likes of Aleo Veliz and Dane Scarlett, I actually think we've got some pretty decent young and up-and-coming attacking talents who could well feature for us in the long term. I did mention last episode though, with me neglecting my youth academy over the last season or two, perhaps I do need to start trying to look for some more up-and-coming talent across the globe, and that is something that I will get to later on in this episode. As for Yves Bissouma, I was so disappointed when Manchester City were able to trigger his release clause and he refused to then go and sign a new contract with me. He's been brilliant for the club in real life, and unfortunately on this career mode he hasn't really had the opportunity to feature that heavily because he's just been displaced by this man Pierre-Emile Højbjerg in the starting 11. However, with us having European football this season and far more games to play, I was hoping that would be enough to encourage him to stay at the club, but clearly it still wasn't enough. And so looking at some of these options, the likes of João Paulinho certainly looks like he would be ready to take the next step in his career, moving from Fulham to a team playing in European football. And whilst West Ham might not want to do business with us, I'm sure Edson Alvarez again would also be keen to make the next step up to play in Europe. It might be a bit of a difficult shout to try and prize Mikel Mourinho out of PSG, but Rio Hatate would certainly be another one who'd be keen to join Tottenham, and also, as he was linked in real life, would definitely be a realistic option as well. And with only a couple of months remaining until the January transfer window reopens, with £239 million still left to spend, stay tuned because we're certainly going to be looking to make some upgrades to this squad later on in the episode. And finally, I think you should send a scout to South Korea to try and find the next Heung-min Son. on. Yeah, so I touched upon this earlier and I also mentioned it several times last episode that I've kind of neglected my youth academy a little bit, meaning that I definitely need to try and set up some scouting networks with my 3 scouts. So taking on board what you said, the first things first, I'm going to send my first scout to Asia, more specifically to South Korea, to try and see if he can find the next Heung-min Son. I did have a comment that suggested perhaps sending a scout to Hungary, considering the rich history that the country has in world football. And so of course that will be where I'm going to be sending my second scout today. And finally, with me still wanting to find the best local talent, and with me obviously still wanting to uncover the very next Harry Kane, of course England will be the third and final country that I plan to scout. So these are the 3 main areas that I'm going to be sending my scouts, but you're going to have to wait until next episode to see what sort of players they uncover. In other news, with Ryan Sessegnon finally happy to be put out of his misery at Tottenham Hotspur and to finally be put on the transfer list, perhaps to the surprise of many, Chelsea have once again decided to come in for one of my reserve players, this time offering £14 million for the young Englishman. And it's a deal that Sessegnon is more than happy to accept, as he will depart to Chelsea in January. But perhaps in even stranger news, after years of failure at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, Manchester United have decided to come in with an offer of £16 million for Tanguy Ndombele. And of course that's a deal that both the club and he are more than happy to accept, and sees him join the Manchester Giants in January as well. 2 players who the club in real life have really struggled to get rid of, and 2 players with only 8 months left on their contracts. An extra £30 million added to the transfer budget, and over 100 grand a week saved on wages. I think Tottenham Hotspur Football Club are laughing all the way to the bank. However, Ryan Sessegnon's imminent departure from the club leaves Sergio Ayala as the one and only left back at the club. A huge amount of pressure to put on such a young man's shoulders. And with the likes of Pep Matassar on loan at Brentford, the Frenchman Tanguy Ndombele, and Yves Bissouma leaving the club in January, it also means that we're pretty light in central midfield as well. So get ready, because as soon as we hit this January transfer window, we are going to be getting this massive checkbook out. However, after suffering bitter disappointment in the league, having been crushed by Liverpool 3-0 to end our unbeaten run, we've now dropped down to 3rd place in the Premier League and are looking over our shoulder at Manchester City instead of looking up, which makes it even more important that we get back to winning ways against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately enough, Heung-min Son continues his fine vein of form, as his single goal is the only one that separates the 2 teams, a 1-0 win away from home. And another confident away victory and clean sheet, this time 3-0 against Feyenoord in the Champions League, gets us right back on track and puts us in a commanding position in our group. And with us now sitting in 2nd place in the Premier League table, being chased down by 2 London rivals in West Ham and Arsenal, it is going to be one of those teams in West Ham whom we're going to welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in a match that potentially could have huge ramifications to the Premier League title race. As you can see, it is my usual starting 11 that do start against West Ham. The only change really is with my desperation to try and find a place for Mickey van der Ven, as he is performing so well in real life. I have put him back into my starting 11, which means unfortunately Benjamin Pavard can't even find a place on the bench. Out to Kulusevski. Kulusevski is going to try and drift back in on his left-hand side. And he drifts the ball back into Bentancur. He finds Ayala. Ayala looks for a nice run into Heung-min Son. He's got the footwork almost to get away from the defender, but it is challenged, and West Ham can now try and hit us on the counter-attack. Andre Silva to try and bring it forward for them. Well intercepted though by Ayala, and it's a double tackle. Brilliant play there from the young Argentinian. Jared Bowen in the right hand side trying to find a ball into the box. Does nice work to try and get away from the challenge of Romero. Out to Kufal. Into Andre Silva, who strikes. Big stop from Vicario. Going to be another West Ham corner here that Jared Bowen is going to take, and he's going to whip it in this time looking for the near post. Headed away by Kulusevski. Only out as far as Jared Bowen again. West Ham have started this game far better than we have. Paquetá on the edge of the box, shaping up to strike. He does strike. This time it's Pedro Porro with a good interception, and we try and get the ball away. Madison to feed in Kulusevski down the right hand side, cuts back in looking for the pass into Vlahovic. Vlahovic is looking for options. He looked for an option of Ayala on the left hand side. First time ball in, straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, Heung-min Son. Bentancur almost tries to take out Florentino Luis into Cornet down the right hand side. He's going to try and go past Pedro Porro. Instead plays a ball into Lucas Paquetá. He's held up by Christian Romero. Luis though continues his run in the box, gets away from Romero, and this time it's Alvarez who puts it wide. Pedro Porro feeds in Kulusevski. Nicely done, but can't get away from the left back though, chasing down. But the West Ham midfield are just too strong for the Swede, and they go again. As I said, out of the 2 teams, it is looking like it's going to be West Ham who are going to break the deadlock first, as Cornet brings this forward. Well challenged though by Kulusevski, looking to make amends, but he doesn't make amends. Cornet still has it. This time it's Romero. Alvarez trying to get past him. Great challenge from our vice-captain. Well, there's nothing to separate the 2 teams at the start of the second half. It's been a tight and cagey affair in the first 45 minutes. Can one of these 2 teams find the breakthrough to put themselves in a commanding position in the fight for the Premier League title. Bentancur into James Maddison, who hasn't really been too involved so far, as Mickey van der Ven just manages to wriggle away from a challenge of a West Ham attacker. Out to Ayala on the right hand side, doesn't have too many options. Instead, I'm going to try and find a ball to Vlahovic. It was a nice ball to Vlahovic, and he does a good job trying to find James Maddison. Not good enough though. Paquetá for West Ham, dancing around the challenge of Romero, and Cornet forces Vicario into a big save. It's going to be another West Ham corner. It looks like it's going to be another one that Jarrod Bowen is going to throw into the 6-yard box. He does, and this time Andre Silva gets ahead of my two defenders and powers ahead past Vicario to give West Ham a 1-0 lead. It was a brilliant cross from Jarrod Bowen, and it was a brilliant towering header. He got ahead of Ayala at the back post. The young Argentinian was having such a good game, but his height was his disadvantage, and he was beaten at the back post by a brilliant, powerful header as West Ham lead 1-0. Into Brennan Johnson, who's come on as a sub to try and spark some life into this Tottenham team. James Maddison can't get there, and it's kind of been the story of the game here. We've been poor all over the pitch. Højbjerg, though, to win it back high. Into Kubo, who's also come on as a sub. He tries to feed in Vlahovic. Vlahovic can't feed the ball into James Maddison. It's even better defending from West Ham once again. Kudos for West Ham. Tries to go past Pedro Porro. He does go past Pedro Porro, and he streaks down this left-hand side here. Pedro Porro can't keep up with him. Neither can Romero. It's a poor ball in the end that makes it easy for Vicario. Brennan Johnson into James Maddison. James Maddison fires a ball over to Kubo on the right-hand side. Really nicely done. He takes it down well. Into Vlahovic. Vlahovic into Brennan Johnson, who tries to strike against the West Ham defenders. Kudos trying to go one-on-one with Pedro Porro again, and once again he's got his number. He's able to go past him. He tries to go into the box. Mickey van der Ven can't challenge him. It is absolutely sensational. Well, in our efforts to press high, we were caught cold at the back again, and he just had the pace to get away from both Pedro Porro and Mickey van der Ven, whose challenge at the end just wasn't strong enough, and Vicario was left with no chance. 2-0 West Ham. Højbjerg into James Maddison. James Maddison to try his luck from distance, and in the end goes straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. Well, the last time we played at home in front of the Tottenham fans, we put on a dismal display against Liverpool, and it turns out we've done exactly the same thing this time against our arch-London rivals West Ham. And at full time here it finishes Spurs 0, West Ham 2. And of course now I've got the press on my back, wondering what on earth was going on, especially it's even worse by the fact that we got beaten by our arch-rivals West Ham. Perhaps we just lacked a little bit of self-belief, or perhaps we just don't have the experience that is necessary to fight at the top table of the Premier League right now. A disappointing result, and one that drags us right out of even the Champions League spaces, as we've now dropped down to 5th place in the Premier League. And a real tough afternoon for Sergio Ayala perhaps does indicate that we might need some additional experience on the left-hand side of our defence after all. Before we're able to bring someone else in though, we've got the small matter of quite a few games still remaining in our calendar. However, after what can only be described as a series of stuttering Premier League performances, we have seen ourselves tumble down the table all the way to 7th place after 13 games played, with Liverpool now being able to stretch out a 7-point lead at the top of the table. And to make matters worse, in my desperation to try and include Mickey van der Ven in my starting 11 a little bit more often, which by the way he seems absolutely delighted with, it is to the detriment to the career of Edmund Tapsoba. Absolutely furious, he is now demanding a transfer away, claiming that I'm damaging his career. And with the young man now submitting a transfer request, surely it's only a matter of time before he departs the club. The problem is, with the likes of Benjamin Pavard and Christian Romero still performing admirably at the back, and my desperation to try and get Mickey van der Ven back into the starting 11, there just hasn't really been a place for Edmund Tapsoba, and it is really unfortunate that it's had to come to this in the end. However, going back to the football, and with an opportunity to clinch top spot in our Champions League group, we are heading over to Italy, more specifically to Lazio, to claim 3 points and to confirm our position in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. And for me, it's a wonderful opportunity to switch up the starting 11 and finally give an opportunity to a lot of those players in reserve who are desperate to try and make an impression. Can they do it today? Time will tell. Sessegnon with the throw into Brennan Johnson, who skips away from 2 challenges. He's done a really good job here, and he drives into the centre. He picks up Brian Hill on the left-hand side. Has he managed to stay on side? No, he hasn't. Into Ryan Sessegnon. Perhaps this might be one of the few and final times that we see that young man in a Spurs shirt, as Brian Hill skips away from about 3 or 4 challenges there. Does brilliantly in the centre of the park, and it's now Kubo on the right-hand side who picks it up. Drives into the penalty area, trying to find a ball back in. It's well defended. Lazio looking to bring this one out of defence, and that's a wonderful midfield splitting pass. And what a challenge from Emerson Royale. Aleo Veliz, who's come deep to try and get involved in the play. He finds Brennan Johnson to try and ding it back over. into the path of Brian Hill, but Veliz will pick up the scraps and tries to strike, sends it wide. Into Luis Alberto for Lazio here. Kostalanos now out to Kamada, well challenged by the soon-to-be departed Yves Bissouma. Tackle for Sakubo though to bring it forward into Brian Hill, who's been heavily involved so far, and he's skipping away from 2 challenges, 3 challenges. Wonderful stuff from the Spaniard into Brennan Johnson. He's looking for options, turns and finds Ryan Sessegnon. Ryan Sessegnon to look for Aleo Veliz. It's just so crowded in the penalty area, but Veliz does a brilliant job, and Veliz just puts it wide. A brilliant move and a brilliant opportunity for the young Argentinian, and he really should have put it in the back of the net. Into Oliver Skipp, who's been fairly quiet across this entire career mode, to be fair, and he'll desperately be searching for his opportunity to try and stake his claim in the starting 11 as Brian Hill brings it forward and fires a great strike against the goalkeeper, but it's well saved. It'll be Kubo to take the resulting corner though. He's going to fire it into the edge of the box, looking for Brennan Johnson. Is headed away by Steven Bergwijn though. Brian Hill's going to try and win the reverse ball. Doesn't. Cleared by Lazio. Nice ball into the path of Castellanos, and he's got round the back of Mickey van der Ven. Well out by Vicario. Tries to find Kubo. Does find Kubo, who then insists on giving the ball away. And now Lazio can try and break, and it's a nice turn and pass into Kamada. Castellanos now has it again. Kamada, nice 1-2 between the two of them. He's going to try and go past Emerson Royale. Can't. Nuno Mendes will have a chance though. He gives it to Steven Bergwijn. Oh, how much he would love to score against his former club that he didn't quite make the grade against. It's smashed against my defence. Lazio continue to bring it forward. This time it's Mickey van der Ven with a great interception, and now we can bring the ball forward. Van der Ven. Oh, that's a wonderful ball. Can he find Kubo with the pace? But Nuno Mendes has the recovery pace. Great defending from the left back. He almost gets himself in trouble though, as Aleo Veliz was hunting him down, but he just couldn't do it. Good defending in the end from Nuno Mendes. Tapsoba under a lot of pressure here by 2 Lazio strikers. It's a high press, and it's given away cheaply by Tapsoba. Can he try and win it back from Isakson? He can. Good defending in the end from the young man. And now Brennan Johnson into the path of Oliver Skipp. Oliver Skipp to try and bring it forward. He finds in Ryan Sessegnon down the left-hand side. Sessegnon to drive forward. Can he find a ball in? No, he can't. Neither team able to break the deadlock here. With 10 minutes remaining, Kubo's going to fire a ball into the box. Look at Brennan Johnson. Big save. It's another corner, and it's another one that Kubo is going to throw right into the penalty box. Into Aleo Veliz this time. It's cleared off the line. Tapsoba with the rebound, and Tapsoba finally gets the goal, the all-important and all-deserved goal for Tottenham Hotspur. Well, the man who's been recently demanding a transfer is the man who gets the single and solitary goal here. Perhaps this is a little reminder of what he can offer us, and perhaps a reminder of what we've been missing so far this season. It's a strong head. It's 1-0. Out to Emerson Royale on the right-hand side. I'm going to try and play a ball into Aleo Veliz. Takes it really nicely. Looks for Kubo on the right-hand side. Have the Lazio heads dropped here as Kubo. He's got an option of Brennan Johnson at the far post if he can find him. No, he can't. And in the end, it's headed away by the Lazio defence as the referee blows for full time. While the Spurs fans go wild, they know what that means. It secures our qualification to the knockout round of the Champions League. It was a hard-fought victory, but a victory nonetheless, with that man's goal being the only one to separate the two teams. As at full time here, it finishes Lazio 0, Spurs 1. And with the board breathing down my neck, demanding Champions League success this season, to simply get out of the group stage with relative ease is a massive weight lifted off my shoulders. The biggest talking point for me, though, has to be the performance of this man, Edmund Tapsoba. As I said, he hasn't really featured too much for me this season, but an impressive run of games in the Champions League and an impressive defensive performance has helped us get through to the next round. Even though he has submitted a transfer request, I'm actually quite hesitant to sell him. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think I should do with this young man? Should I keep him at the club against his will, or should I just cut ties and get rid of him and try and bring someone else in? And if I do, who should be the centre-back to replace him? Let me know down below what you think. And I'm hoping we can take the momentum from the Champions League back into the Premier League to do something about this terrible position we find ourselves in. And after beating Wolves 3-1 away from home, it looks like we've done just that. A huge 4-0 win at home against Coventry, courtesy of a hat-trick from Aleo Veliz, followed up by a huge away win against our arch-rivals Chelsea 2-0, has got us right back on track in the Premier League as we managed to drag ourselves back into the Champions League places, and now we're only 5 points behind Manchester City, who lead the way. The time has now come for one of the most eagerly anticipated North London derbies in years. Two teams not only fighting for a Champions League spot, but also in the hunt for the title as well. It is Tottenham v Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Saka for Arsenal. Nice pass into Rooney. Rudiger, who seemingly is flying his trade here at Arsenal now, as he drives past Bentancur in the midfield. And now it's Saka, who tries to go past Romero, but in the end, Ayala's able to bring it out of defence in his first start at a North London derby. Into Gabby Jesus, it's Martinelli to turn around the corner into Acuna, who's overlapping him on the left-hand side, and he goes past by defenders really easily, back into Martinelli. Martinelli held up by Romero well. Looks like it's going to be Odegaard who's going to take the resulting corner. It looks like he's going to go short. He does go short to Acuna. Acuna just drifts past Maddison like he's not there. Into Saka on the edge of the box. Wide. Ayala with the free kick. Goes short into Benjamin Pavard on the left-hand side. Romero into Bentancur, who's back defending. He's going to try and bring it forward, but the Arsenal press is doing well, and they've marked us man for man. We can't seem to get the ball past their last line of defence. Martinelli to bring it out now into Jorginho, who finds himself the most advanced, but it's Ayala who does a brilliant job of defending there. Brilliant stuff from the young man. Ayala to bring this out of defence as well. Finds Heung-min Son down the left-hand side. Song tries to find Vlahovic. Vlahovic turns, and he can't strike because he's been flagged for offside. Odegaard trying to go past Bentancur. Brilliant challenge from the man in midfield. And he tries to find a ball into James Maddison, who turns well, strikes with his right. It's deflected, corner. And of course it's going to be Maddison to take the resulting corner. Fires it in for Vlahovic. Well headed away by the former Chelsea man in Rudiger. Højbjerg though will feed it back out to Maddison to throw it back into the box. Look at Kulusevski at the back post. Headed away by Kieran Trippier, I think that was. The former Spurs man, what a traitor. And yes, I was right. It is the former Spurs man, Kieran Trippier, who has crossed the North London divide to ply his trade for Arsenal. How on earth could you do it? Odegaard into Gabby Jesus. He plays it back into Jorginho. Jorginho unopposed, brings the ball forward, gives it to Jesus, who strikes. Easy for Vicario to just beat that one away. Going to be Martinelli who's going to take the following corner. He will look like he's going to throw this one in. He does, into the near post, but it's Benjamin Pavard who hends it away. Only out as far as Rudiger. Martinelli will get a second go. Short to Saka. Saka looking for an option in the box. Twisting, turning into Odegaard. Brilliant challenge again by Ayala. He's had a great game in his first North London derby, but Jesus fires it against Vicario, and that was very, very lucky. Pedro Porro into Højbjerg. He finds Kulusevski. Kulusevski into Pedro Porro again. Well worked here from the Tottenham players. Now he's going to try and put this into the box to Bentancur on the volley. What a save. And look how much it means to him. Wow, that was absolutely sensational. What a volley from Bentancur, and what an almighty save from Ramsdale. My word, that has kept them in the game. Acuna trying to go one-on-one with the substitute Cubo, and he's done a really good job of just out-muscling him, and feeds in Martinelli, who feeds in Gabby Jesus, who feeds in Odegaard. Vicario is there with another huge save. Brennan Johnson on as a sub to try and bring the ball forward, tries to feed in Vlahovic, does a really good job, and Vlahovic now is going to look for Brennan Johnson, who finds Ayala just over ahead of him on the left-hand side. He's got no options though. He flings it in. It's not the best ball. It's headed away by Saliba. Bentancur though wins the rebound. Højbjerg finds a ball into Pedro Porro. Saliba is there again. It's bouncing around all over the place, and in the end Ramsdale just hacks it away. Maddison now for Spurs into Bentancur. Nice ball into the Uruguayan man, and he drives into the box unopposed, and Bentancur this time will get the goal. Look at the celebrations from him. Look at the celebrations from the fans. What a goal. Bentancur just drove into the penalty area, and it was an almighty strike, and Ramsdale had no chance this time. Tottenham take the lead in the North London derby. About 5 minutes remaining on the clock here for Arsenal to try and see if they can find an equaliser. Jorginho brings it forward. Oh my word, two-footed challenge there. I was very lucky to get away with that one, but Romero comes across with a brilliant challenge, and Takefusa Kubo is taken out from behind. Pedro Porro, I'm just going to boot this one away anywhere will do, and that is a brilliant ball into Brennan Johnson. He tried to feed in Vlahovic. It was well defended, but somehow we managed to find ourselves in an advanced position. Ayala into Vlahovic. He turns brilliantly. Vlahovic drives into the box. Vlahovic to strike. Vlahovic to give us a 2-goal lead. Look at the celebrations. It's absolutely crazy here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. All the subs, the players, even myself have come running to celebrate with Vlahovic. And from looking like we were going to concede at one end to absolutely smashing a goal past the goalkeeper down the other. What a finish from Vlahovic, and what a way to finish the game here. It is 2-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I shake the hand of Arteta and salute the crowd, as I know how much this game means. A brilliant performance from this man, Dusan Vlahovic. As at full time it finishes Spurs 2, Arsenal 0. It was a fantastic result, and one that has helped turn our team's fortunes around, as we now sit second in the Premier League table, level on points with league leaders Manchester City. But good news is unfortunately followed by bad, as we're hit with 2 big injuries. Firstly, Benjamin Pavard has broken his metatarsal, and that means he's going to be out for the next 2 months. And my highest rated midfielder in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has broken his elbow, and that means he's going to be out for about 6 weeks as well. But with the January transfer window now officially open. It's time to make use of our now almost £300 million budget. With Ryan Sessegnon now having departed to Chelsea, leaving the 18-year-old Sergio Ayala as the only recognised left-back at the club, that is where we're going to begin. Now, I've had plenty of fantastic options given to me through you guys, first and foremost being Theo Hernandez, who's now 27, and he would no doubt be a huge upgrade across my starting 11, arguably one of the best left-backs in the world and one of the highest rated ones in FIFA altogether. Would he be willing to leave AC Milan for Tottenham though? That is the biggest question. In real life, João Cancelo found himself leaving Manchester City after falling out with Pep Guardiola, but in this career mode, he still finds himself plying his trade in Manchester. Now, there can be no doubt about the Portuguese quality overall and his fantastic experience in Champions League football, but with him being 30 years of age, is he a real long-term option at left-back for us? Now, someone who could be a long-term option at left-back for us is Alejandro Balde at 21 years of age and at 84 rated. My word, what a fantastic young signing this Spaniard could be. However, with him already having made the move to PSG, again, would he be willing to trade the bright lights of Paris for North London? And so all of that talk leaves me with just one more option. It's a man himself who's got experience of playing for PSG, but now finds himself playing for Lazio on this career mode. He's someone who's impressed me massively in the 2 times that we've played them in the Champions League, and it's someone whom I'm sure will be absolutely desperate to move to England to finally get his chance of playing in the Premier League. Nuno Mendes joins Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for £62 million. The young man is rated 84. He's got all of the attributes to be an absolutely world-class left-back, and with age on his side, there is absolutely no telling what sort of potential this young man can reach. And so, with one position down, it's now time to move on to another. Now, the departure of Yves Bissouma to Manchester City meant that I was always going to be looking for another central midfielder. And whilst the debate about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's role at the club still up for debate, but with him now out injured for the next 6 weeks, there can be no debate whatsoever that not only do I have to find a replacement for him, but I definitely cannot sell him this window. Now, once again, there's been so many different fantastic options that have been presented with me. Rodrigo de Paul is one of them. At an 84 rating, he would definitely come in and improve my squad. But again, at 30 years of age, is he a long-term option that I'm looking for? The same can be said about Mikel Merino. At 85 rating, he will definitely improve the squad. But with him being 28 years of age and playing for PSG, would he really want to move to Tottenham at this stage in his career? Rio Hatate has been linked with Spurs so many times in the recent transfer window with Ange Postecoglou taking over, and with him being 80 rating, he would probably find a nice place on my bench, but realistically would probably struggle to try and find his way into my starting 11. Now, at 83 rated, Edson Alvarez could be a great shout, and with him playing at West Ham, I'm sure I could probably prize him away from the London club, as he'll be desperate to play European football. However, with his pace only being 69 overall, and with his physical stats not being particularly good, I'm not really sure he has the right attributes to play in central midfield for me. And similar to Alvarez, Koopmeiners at 82 rated clearly offers us some decent experience and would probably improve the squad overall. However, similar again to Alvarez, with his pace only being 69 and his physical stats not being fantastic, is he really the answer to our problems in central midfield? And so, taking all of that into account, I feel like I'm left with one more option. He's a man who so many of you have mentioned to me in the comments that you'd like to see playing for Tottenham Hotspur, and he's a man who's been regularly linked with the club in the summer transfer window in real life, and whilst he's got his Chelsea links in this career mode, he's made the move to Everton, and now he's ready to make the move back to London, more specifically a club playing European football. That is right, it is Conor Gallagher to join Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for £40 million. With him only being 24, he was the youngest pick of all the midfielders you've suggested to me, and with him being 6 foot and having great overall stats across the board, and with him having that relentless high attacking and defensive work rate, he will fit in perfectly to my gegenpressing system. And so, with those 2 new signings going straight into my starting 11, but with us only being at the very beginning of the January transfer window, and still having almost £200 million left to spend, again, let me know down in the comments below, is there any other area of the team you think need improving? And is there anyone else you would like to see me spend that money on? And with Wolves up next in the Premier League, it is the perfect opportunity for both of those young men to make their Tottenham Hotspur debuts in front of the home fans at a snow-filled Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Cario, a nice disguised little dink pass into Romero that cleared the attackers, and now Conor Gallagher can bring the ball forward, and it's straight into the path of Vlahovic, who has the time to drive into the box, and he says thank you very much. Well, it's taken just 12 minutes for Vlahovic to get on the score sheet and just 12 minutes for Conor Gallagher to register his first assist in a Tottenham shirt. A fabulous through ball into the path of the striker, and look at this for a finish. Brilliantly done, past the goalkeeper, 1-0 Spurs. Pedro Porro, nice pass into Gallagher again, who already has been heavily involved in the opening 20 minutes. He finds Kulusevski. Kulusevski tries to feed it back into Vlahovic, but instead manages to get onto the rebound. He's going to try and throw this one into the box. And oh my word, somehow we managed to miss that. And Wolves get it clear. Mickey van der Ven playing in place of the injured Benjamin Pavard and Nuno Mendes, the other debutant now to bring this out of defence. Look at the pace and the guile from the young man to bring it out. He's trying to find the right pass and in the end just gets caught up. And Wolves can now try and hit us on the counter-attack. Bentancur, nice one-touch pass into Nuno Mendes, and Mendes is going to try and bring this into the centre of the park. Nice stuff. It's a young man who's clearly looking to make an impression. Maddison feeds a ball into Heung-min Son. Lovely done. Heung-min Son with his left. Big save from the goalkeeper. Maddison will take the resulting corner. Fires it in for the head of Heung-min Son. Big save. Maddison again will take the second corner of the game, and again looking for Heung-min Son. This time it's the Bentancur. Whoa, my word. What a fantastic touch and turn and volley from the young man. But he finds Kulusevski out wide. He throws it back into the box, looking for the head of someone, but no one got there. Bentancur headed down, and eventually Wolves managed to get it clear, only out as far as Nuno Mendes. He will throw it back into the box, looking for Vlahovic. Well defended by the Wolves defence. Conor Gallagher away though, and in the end Wolves hack it clear. Romero into Conor Gallagher, under a bit of pressure here, but he feeds it back to Christian Romero again, back into Bentancur. He turns nicely around the press of the Wolves midfield, and he finds Heung-min Son on the left-hand side. Heung-min Son again is going to try and go to the far post here, looking for Kulusevski, headed away by the left-back Johnny. Tried to head down by Conor Gallagher, but he was beaten to it by the Wolves midfield. Sarabia now streaking down this right-hand side for Wolves at the start of the second half as they look to try and drag themselves back into this game. He linked up with the former Spurs man Doherty, who then gave the ball away. Bentancur, lovely pass all the way over to an unmarked Pedro Porro on the right-hand side. He feeds in Maddison, who turns really nicely, feeds in Vlahovic. What a ball into the path of Bentancur. He can't get there ahead of the goalkeeper. Delagarde into Fabio Silva, but he's well challenged by Mickey van der Ven. Into Heung-min Son, taken away from the midfield. Vlahovic now to try and feed it across, but in the end it's worked out. It's gone to Heung-min Son. He tried to go past the Wolves midfield, but somehow he still managed to keep hold of the ball here. How on earth has Heung-min Son done this? He's still got it. He strikes. Big save. Pedro Porro under pressure from a relentless Wolves press, but he's wriggled away really nicely from it. But it's 3-on-3 here, but somehow he's managed to find Nuno Mendes, who's high on the left-hand side, who then gets challenged. He still has to adapt to the pace of the Premier League, it seems. Oliver Skip now trying to dance away from the challenges of the Wolves attackers, and now he manages to do it, and he releases Mickey van der Ven into Maddison. Maddison tries to feed in Nuno Mendes. He manages to find Brennan Johnson, though. He finds Maddison. He turns, looking for Gallagher. Gallagher on his right to strike, looking to get his first Tottenham goal. It's well saved. Just over 10 minutes remain. It's another Maddison corner. This time it's fired over the head of Brennan Johnson. Pedro Porro, though, wins the return ball, gives it back to Maddison. He shifts it back onto his right. Going to try and go past the right back. He does. Across to Nuno Mendes, who would have loved to have scored on his debut, but he gets the header all wrong. Doherty boots that one clear, only out as far as Christian Romero. It's been all Spurs so far in this game, and we really should be more than 1-0 up. But with only one goal separating the two teams, it is anyone's to win, and Wolves can easily get themselves back in the game. And with just under 5 minutes remaining, it looks like they're going to try and do this with Fabio Silva trying to go past Mickey van der Ven. He does, and in the end it's Romero with a brilliant challenge right at the death. Fantastic defending as it's hacked away from Brennan Johnson. Fortunately enough for me, that was the last attack of the game. As the players celebrated, it is a hard-fought 1-0 victory here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As at full-time here, it finishes Spurs 1, Wolves 0. A fantastic way to end the episode, and a fantastic way to lift us to the summit of the Premier League table. This man, Conor Gallagher, absolutely bossed the midfield and threw in an assist for the sake of it. Brilliant performance in his debut, and whilst Nuno Mendes showed flashes of brilliance, it will take some time for the young man to adapt to the rigours of Premier League football. But with almost £200 million still left in the budget, and some improvements surely still to be made to this squad, as I said, let me know down in the comments what you think. Who would you like to be seeing plying their trade in a Tottenham shirt this season? And thanks again for watching today's episode. That is it. I will see you again next time.